always know the difference between what you're getting and what you deserve. The reality is that there's going to be situations in life with what people are offering you isn't truly what's best for you. And you've got to understand the need to not settle. But let's be real. In today's world, especially for women in dating, the temptation to settle is strong for some. Or there are a lot of individuals encouraging settling, saying, well, maybe your options would be more realistic, or you would find more success if you were just willing to lower what your standards are. Be more willing to take less than what you actually desire. Now listen, I'm never going to tell anyone to settle, but I don't want to just say it just to say it. I want you to understand why you should not do it and why this is a recipe for disaster every single time. So, number one is your tolerance is temporary. What do I mean here? I have seen tons of women settle in dating and relationships. And I've seen those women who, yes, when they settled, when they were willing to quote unquote lower their standards, they were able to find the man. Now, if your goal is to simply find the man, then this recipe does work. But if you're trying to find peace, happiness, and the right man, this is not going to work. Because again, what these women do is they convince themselves that they can deal with this thing. And when I say this thing, they can deal with the shortcomings. They can deal with what's lacking. They can deal with changing their desire, or what they think is changing their desire for certain things. But they can't sustain that because it's not real, all right? It's them just trying to accommodate the moment. It's them trying to make it work right now so they can achieve their goal of a relationship. And sometimes it's not just a relationship, it's, well, I want to be married so badly, so I'm going to make some adjustments to what I'm willing to accept into my life. I want a kid badly, so I'm going to make some adjustments with what I accept in my life. More specifically, the type of man I will accept in my life. And I know that as the woman ages, as a woman feels like her options are dwindling, or maybe feels like she's in a city that doesn't have great options, again, the temptation creeps in. But like I said, your tolerance is temporary. And so even if you get that man, even if you get that baby, even if you get that marriage, your ability to keep this going long term is damn near non-existent. And even if you're able to keep it going, how miserable are you going to be in the process? All right? Because we have to understand that longevity in relationships does not equal success. There's a lot of times where women say to me, well, look at this woman. She's been married for 20 years, but she's been miserable for 19 of them. Oh, well, this one's in her relationship. They seem good. Yeah, seem. She posts a lot of nice pictures on Instagram. She's screaming on social media and posting her status that she's so in love. But what you don't know is she's crying behind closed doors. She's frustrated and constantly fighting with this man that she accepted into her life and knew he was not best for her. So without being able to, in the long run, keep this going, why are we going to bother at all? You're only going to create more problems by now attaching yourself to a man who does not belong in your life. This can turn into a nightmare baby daddy, all right? A nightmare, again, marriage, where now we talk a lot about, when I say we, society talks a lot about the financial ramifications that men have in marriage. But here's a reality check. Financial ramifications fall on who's ever making more money, okay? And in today's world, there are plenty of women who make more money than the man, all right? And now the burden or the consequences, and I don't say that to deter you from marriage in a general sense, just putting in perspective that there is a price that has to be paid for some women as well when they marry the wrong man. All right? And again, I believe in marriage, but I want you to marry the right person and for the right reasons. But getting back to the main point, whether it's the horrible baby's father, whether it's marriage with its own ramifications, or just the everyday quality of life that you have now sacrificed by being with someone you're not truly happy with. Sometimes, a lot of times, that is worse than even being single. You know, some people think it's better to have a piece of a man than no man. No, I say if you can't have the whole man, don't have none of him. Because to be in a relationship and not get what you need, it's almost like torture, because you're not able to now freely try to seek it elsewhere. Not freely. Some women are stepping out doing their thing. That's a whole other discussion. But you're not able to get what you need without further consequence. So you see, all you're doing is going further down the rabbit hole. Okay, yeah, you settle for this guy. There's a huge void in this relationship. Some women will go out there and cheat, but now you've introduced another man to this dynamic. You've introduced another possible drama-filled situation, all right? More headache, more stress. You get the point. Ultimately, it's not worth it. It's not going to work for you. So you've got to understand settling is not in your best interest. But here's a second thing to consider as to why you should never settle in dating and relationships. You will not be able to be the woman that he needs. And let me be even more specific with my wording. You will not be able to pour into him consistently and sustainably what he needs, all right? So let me paint a picture, give an example. You have a scenario where a woman meets a guy, or she's having struggles with dating and relationships, right? And let's just say she was hoping for a muscular 6-foot man, all right, who's doing well in life, and other things that she wanted on the list. But she settles. And I'm going to put settling into better perspective at the end of this video. But let's just say she doesn't just settle in the sense of she doesn't get 6 foot and muscular. She settles for a man who she is not truly attracted to, all right? And I'm really thinking of a specific scenario in my head where she got with a man who was extremely out of shape. He wasn't that tall, but I don't think that the height wasn't as bad of the issue as the very out of shape and just lacking attraction, all right? I don't want to say the man wasn't cute. I just want to say I don't think she found him cute, okay? Anyways, she saw him as an opportunity to get married, all right, and reach her goals in life. Her goals. And I say it like that because, yes, there are a lot of women who have set marriage and kids and certain things like that as goals, as even expectations, to where when they start to get nervous that they're quote-unquote running out of time, they start accepting people that they shouldn't accept. Anyways, she gets married to this man. But here's what's not being considered. And here's what happened with her. Yes, she was able to be in a relationship with him. And she was able to stay with him for a long time. But during that time, she didn't really want to be affectionate with him. Sex was very scarce, all right? And if we go further, the level of respect, the level of admiration that a man needs from his woman, all right, non-existent. And so even though initially he was happy to have this beautiful, amazing woman in his eyes, you know, he probably thought, man, I can't get a woman like this, or I didn't think I could get a woman like this. He was miserable. And of course, she was left with a huge void, because it's one thing to not be able to give him what he needs, but let's face it, if the intimacy is lacking, if the admiration and respect is lacking, then what speaks to a woman's heart and what she desires, that closeness, that connection, she's not getting it either. So now neither of them are happy. And all they're trying to do is deal with it and tolerate each other. There are so many relationships and marriages where two people are just tolerating each other, just taking it one day at a time, trying to get to the next day, or burying themselves in distractions, kids, work, family, friends, you name it, rather than facing the reality that they're not truly into their partner and they don't get what they need from their partner in this relationship. So when you settle as a woman, your motivation, the fuel that you need to continuously pour into this man in the way that he needs is completely undermined. So whether it's attraction, whether it's other aspects like respect, whatever may contribute to a lack of respect and admiration and all these different things, this is going to make it difficult. Now listen, let's be clear. You can get with the right person and things can happen in life that can cause a hit in those areas. And so what I mean by that is if you got with someone and they let themselves go in certain areas of their life, it can have a negative impact where now our ability to pour into each other is going to be very much hindered. But it's one thing to get with someone who in the beginning there's a foundation of we have what we need and then we hit a rough patch. We can learn to work through that. It's another thing to knowingly get into the relationship with someone where these things are not there already. They're not going to magically appear. They're not going to just, we'll figure it out later. Some people, there's always exceptions to every rule. Some people may have managed to escape the pitfalls of that approach and actually succeed, but those are very, very rare cases. The majority suffer, plain and simple. And so if you cannot be the woman he needs, if you cannot pour into him continuously the way that he will need, you will never experience a loving, fulfilling, successful relationship with this man. So it just adds to another reason why you should never settle. So now, another issue I've seen happen when it comes to women who end up going down that path of settling, all right? And again, at the end, I'm going to put into perspective what settling really is because it's important. Matter of fact, let me explain it now before I continue. Settling is not about not getting what you wanted, as far as I'm concerned. It's about not getting what's best for you, okay? So using the example earlier about the woman who wanted a man who's, let's just say there's a woman, she wants a man who's 6'2", makes 6 figures, no kids, good looking, college educated, right? And then you meet a man who is 5'8", makes $70K, has a kid, only has a high school diploma, never went to college. Now, on paper, if a woman gets with guy B, right, they would say she's settled. But to me, if guy B makes you truly happy, if with guy B you experience a real connection, if with guy B he is able to pour into your needs, then you have not settled. You won. You won. And so I think it's important to understand that, listen, there's a lot of things we may want, but is it what we need? Is it what's truly best for us? Is it what's going to make us happy in the long run? And it's important to understand the difference because I've seen women get what they want and still end up unhappy, still end up miserable, because what we want is based off of, again, maybe where we are in life at that moment, how maybe the emotional state we are at that time. There could be a lot of different factors. To me, want can be very temporary. Need it's gonna always be there. It speaks to the core of who we are. And so it's important that we don't confuse the two. So as I continue to go along with this video, keep that in mind, that it's about settling is not about not getting what you want. It's really about not getting what you need and what's best for you. Because if that woman did get a guy who was 6'2", made six figures and all that other stuff I mentioned, but he does not truly make you happy at the end of the day, then you settled. You could have got everything you wanted, but if you are still unhappy, still missing something in your life with this relationship, then you settled. Keep that in mind. So now, to move this along, what I have seen happen with a lot of women is this need to make the safe choice. So let me put that in perspective real quick. General story, so to speak. What happens to a lot of women is that they may have a relationship, let's call it their first love, okay? And in this first love, the woman is extremely vulnerable, wide open, you know. I'm gonna use the word naive, but not naive to make it negative, but naive just to put in perspective that she's not aware beyond her emotions. She's so caught up and consumed in the moment, she's not able to properly evaluate things. And that typically happens to a lot of women with their first love. You know, because typically the first love is when you're young. Hell, even if it's not when you're young, it can happen because you have not experienced this yet and you don't know how to fully navigate it. Anyways, getting to the point, get with that guy, and many times, in many cases, that first love is either just not the guy for you, or he's not mature enough. He's not truly ready to be the man you need him to be just yet. And because of that, he is going to mishandle the relationship. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to hurt you. All right? And because he's this guy that you are so open and vulnerable with, his hurt is going to hurt a lot. It's going to sting. So let's just say the two break up, and now women will process within themselves that, okay, I don't want to have to go through this again. I don't want to put myself in this scenario again. So now, consciously or subconsciously, I'm going to make a safe choice. I'm going to choose the man that I don't think I have to worry about in the ways I had to worry about my first love. Whether that be, this guy may be good enough to be with, but he doesn't make me vulnerable like that. Or it could be my first love was really good looking and got way too much attention from women. So I'm going to choose a guy who's not that great looking. I'm laughing, but this is a real thing. Not that great looking because I don't have to worry about him as much. Or I may pick a guy who's just not as desirable because I feel like with him, I will have more emotional control, more emotional security, as well as I technically will have the upper hand. I will be the more valuable one in this situation. It creates what's the word I'm looking for? It creates a false perception of safety. All right? And it is a true false perception. And I'm going to explain it now. Because what this leads to is the fact that the safe choice is usually the wrong choice. So one, why is it the wrong choice? Because again, the safe choice is another word for the choice, the man I settled for. Let's just be real. You're not calling the guy who you think is so magnificent and amazing and you're so in love with the safe choice. He's not going to feel safe. If anything, that guy, especially if you've already been hurt before, that guy seems like the scariest choice possible. All right? That guy feels dangerous as hell. And if you have not healed, you're more than likely to run from that guy, which is a lot of women have ran from the right guy and ran to the wrong one. All right? So when we say safe choice, we're really in most cases, if not pretty much all, saying the guy you settled for. And so, again, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. If you're settling for him, you're not going to be able to be the woman he needs, which opens the door, and I have to highlight this specifically, which opens the door to him cheating on you. The reason why I'm mentioning this specifically is because All the women I have sat down with and coached, when we discovered that they accepted the safe choice into their life, they have all acknowledged that a part of them believed that this man would not cheat on them. Because again, the perception is, I'm the prize here. I'm of the greater quality. He should be happy to have me, happy that I'm even allowing myself to accept him into my life. He has to appreciate my presence. He can't afford to, not only can he not afford to cheat on me, hell, he's not the most desirable dude. So he's not getting women left and right anyway, okay? Not all safe choices, that doesn't apply to all safe choices, the whole not getting other women, but that can apply in a lot of scenarios. So anyways, you're thinking, oh, okay, he ain't going nowhere. He's not going to cheat. But what's being overlooked is he's excited to get with you initially. So yes, he views you as, oh my gosh, I got this. Going back to my example of the guy who was unattractive, getting that woman and thought, I can never get a woman like this. But after the hype goes away, after the smoke clears, he's now faced with the reality that I have this on paper desirable woman, but she doesn't give me what I need. Now I'm not happy. Now I have a void. And I don't care who you are, man or woman, when you are in a relationship and you're not having your needs met, at the very least, the temptation of infidelity, the temptation of cheating starts to creep in. And now it may simply become a situation of, does the opportunity present itself? Some people simply have not cheated yet because they haven't had the opportunity. All right. And I'm talking about specifically the ones who are being neglected in their relationship, who are not being fulfilled, not having their needs met. They have not had the opportunity to, or a desirable option to take. But it's not because there's not a part of them that wants to. Because again, we are human. And we don't get in relationships to be neglected. Plain and simple. So when a partner does that, it's going to cause a problem. So getting back to the specific dynamic of making the safe choice, again, he's a safe choice. He's the guy you settled for. You can't pour into him continuously the way that he needs. This opens the door to him doing exactly what you thought he wouldn't do. Cheat. And the mistake that a lot of women make is then to think that this cheating is a result of him simply being a man. Wrong. It is a result of two people who should not be together, who are not pouring into each other as needed and not being fulfilled in this relationship. Fulfilled in the way that a relationship should fulfill two people. So, whether it be the cheating aspect, whether it be, again, just being unhappy and miserable in this relationship, the safe choice turns into a lot of other issues. One other aspect I'm going to add to this is a lot of times, this is what I have seen, a lot of times that quote unquote safe choice turns into the narcissist. Now, I know that might sound strange to some of you because you're like, no. They're either a narcissist from the jump or they're not. There's a different video we're going to have to do on that, right? But let me say this. Sometimes what is being perceived as narcissism is plain and simple being selfish. And that selfishness can come about when people feel like their partner is dismissing and devaluing them. And now they make it all about them, all right? And they become narcissistic. I have seen people enter into a relationship with genuine intent and then evolve into a very narcissistic mindset, all right? But also sometimes, yes, it could be they were a narcissist from the jump, but you did not see it because you were not evaluating them from that perspective. You were evaluating them from the perspective of, this is safe here. What you thought would be safe here. They seem like I don't have to worry about them in the ways I had to worry about my previous love. So again, I can go on and on, but the point is, safe choice, usually the wrong choice. It highlights more and more why settling, because that's basically what it is going to blow up in your face. So now, I gave you a lot to consider, but here's a few more things as to why you should never settle in dating and relationships. And that's because God did not create you to settle. Listen, God did not put you on this earth to take less than what you deserve or what's best for you. God wants you to be happy. Now, I want to be very clear. The path to happiness through God may have to go through some storms, some hills, some struggles, all right? But we have to understand that what we perceive as bad or struggle, or what we perceive as bad and unfortunate, may be recipes for success, all right? But just something that I want you to be mindful of. But ultimately, the end result is God wants you to be in a better place. And settling is saying, I don't trust God to give me better. I don't trust God to provide me with the blessings that speak to my heart. Biblically, it says God wants to give you the desires of your heart. Now, I don't interpret that as he wants to give you what you think you want. I interpret it as he wants to give you what you truly need. Again, what will truly speak to your heart, what will truly make you happy, what will truly give you peace while on this earth. At least a level of peace, because there's a whole lot of chaos going on around us. But anyways, the point is, to settle is to undermine the process that God wants to take us through and the blessings he wants to bring us to. And so don't cheat yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you have to look at it from, okay, is what I'm accepting what God wants me to accept? Or is there more for me? All right? Is there something else that I need to achieve? Is there something else I need to do? Is there something other process I need to walk through? All of that has to be considered. So I'm just going to wrap this specific point up by saying, listen, before you even think about settling, and I don't care if it's a man, a job, whatever, pray about it. Pray before you accept things into your life. Pray before you say this is going to be good enough. Pray before you allow yourself to get so attached to a man that by the time you pray, if you heard no, you don't know how to walk away. Pray early, pray often, and trust what God is telling you in your spirit. And with that, understand that yes, what is best for you does exist. And again, notice I'm carefully using the words, what is best for you. Because there is a quote that says, what you want exists. And though I am guilty of posting and tweeting that quote plenty times, I think it's important for you to understand again, I don't want you to be so locked into what I want. It's what is best for me. And yes, please understand, what is best for you may be the same thing as some of the things you want or all the things you want, depending on how you've processed those things, okay? But you have to look at it from the angle of what's best rather than just what is wanted. And what is best, what truly is going to make you happy, does exist and it's out there. Settling a lot of times is the result of lost hope, lost faith, buying into or falling into the trap of thinking that these things that speak to our heart, that bring us joy, are not out there, or they're not out there for us anymore. And that's a lie the devil told. I'm just going to say it like that. Like, listen, you got to reject that and understand, again, God wants better for you. God has better for you. But you got to keep pushing forward. But let me add this last thing before we wrap this video up. Attract what is best for you. I want to say attract what you desire, but again, I want you to process it different. Attract what is best for you. So what I mean is this. Everything that I'm telling you in this video about not settling is all true. But I don't want you to end this video and think, oh, okay, I'm just going to stay where I'm at in life and just not accept less. That's only a piece of the puzzle. The other piece is I'm going to do what is necessary to receive that thing that is best for me. I'm going to put in the work. Like they say, faith without deeds is dead. I don't know why I'm struggling to say it correctly, but faith without deeds is dead. I believe that's the right way to say it. Anyways, you got to put some work behind your faith. You got to put some work behind your hope and your embracing of God having better for you. And that's why it's important for you to, in prayer, ask God, okay, what do I need to do to receive these things? What is my role? What part do I play in this? It's not about go about life however you want, expecting things to fall in your lap. Plenty of people are not getting what they deserve because they're not putting in the work that needs to be done. Plain and simple. And don't take offense to that. Don't be ashamed or don't be offended by the need to correct certain behaviors, the need to improve in certain areas, the need to grow and evolve. And we've got to understand that in attracting what is best for us, it's not simply about what we think should be acceptable. It's about what is actually required. All right? And so putting it specifically within the framework of dating and relationships. And some of y'all may not like this, but again, I say this with love, and I say this because it's what will honestly help you get to the right place. If you're not having success with men, but you're holding on to what you think men should be willing to accept, you're not going to see improvement. You're not going to see better results. There is a level of having to embrace what men, or at the very least, the type of man who is best for you, is going to need to see from you. All right? And don't think this is about, well, why is it the woman that has to change? No, the person who wants better results has to make changes. So if this video was speaking directly to men, and I will at some point make a video on this exact topic to men, because sometimes certain angles are a little different depending on who I'm speaking to. But if I was speaking to them, I would make the same exact point. It would not change. So me saying this is not because you are a woman. I'm saying this because you are a person who wants better in your life. And once you embrace that and you're willing to take the right steps forward, you're going to start to see the benefit, the progress, and receive the blessings that are truly best for you. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. Has a man ever tried to manipulate you? I'm sure the chances are you've had that experience at least once. And if you haven't, there's a very good chance you may come across it at some point. The unfortunate reality in life is there are people out there who want to